This is The Resilient Life, where we believe that every human will struggle in this life. Our challenge is to struggle well. I'm Ryan Manion. I lost my brother to war, my mom to cancer, and I'm the daughter of a retired Marine. I'm also a wife, mom, author, and president of one of the nation's leading veteran service organizations. Join me and some incredible guests as we explore the value of struggling well through life's inevitable challenges. All right, well, we're here, another episode of the Resilient Life podcast, and I have two awesome guests today in studio, Kenny Williams, Rasheed Bailey. Welcome to the Resilient Life.
Man, yeah, thanks for having us. I was going to say, thanks for having us.
No, definitely excited to be here. Feels good, just walking around and just seeing a lot of, the stuff about your brother and your family, and man, it you could definitely feel the energy when you walk in here.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I told my team, I said, listen, I got two guests and normally they do a lot of prep work for me. And they're like, all right, I said, I don't need a prep doc. So I want to share a little bit about how I came to become friends with you guys, and Kenny, it starts with you. So I kept hearing, gosh, this is probably going back like a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maggie's talking about so my daughter Maggie is 17 years old, Division I, going to play Division I lacrosse, and, competitive lacrosse player. And she's kind of bounced around to different trainers. And it's like, this person was really good with the strength. This person was really good with the speed, but there was never anybody that could put it all together. Right. And so I started hearing K-Reds. And I was hearing your name before I knew who you were, and it was like, and then Maggie would say, I'm going to the dungeon. And I'm like, what the heck's the dungeon? And Jay's like, oh, it's her trainer. And so Maggie starts training with you, and I started following you on Instagram, and I was like, oh my gosh, I freaking love this so much. Like, I'm watching video of Maggie just turning tires and doing like insane hill sprints and just music blaring. And I'm like, this is awesome, because everything's always been so like in these controlled environments, and it's very like, professional's not the right word, but it's been like a different vibe. And I'm like,
way different vibe.
I love this, right?
Yeah.
And so Maggie started working out with you. A bunch of her teammates did. You work with a ton of different athletes at the professional level, the collegiate level. And Maggie started working with you at 5:30 in the mornings. Her and a group of her friends, I was just telling Kenny, her and a group of her friends were like, we're going to work out in the morning before school.
I think I was telling you this too.
And so they're going, Maggie's driving to her friend's house halfway to Conshohocken, then they're traveling. And it's like 3 sessions in, and Maggie's like, everybody bailed. That none of them want to get up that early. They said it's too early. And she's like, can I ask K-Reds to come to our house? And I'm like, go ahead, ask him. So she does. And so he starts coming 2 mornings a week.
Yeah.
And I'm lying in bed thinking like, well, what the heck? I've got this guy downstairs. I'm like, I need to get down there. So it was funny. I'm telling today, or yesterday, we're like setting up, and, because we had 2 of you here, we had both of you. I had Honor, my other daughter, and my son in the chairs, and Sean's working the cameras. And Sean says, or Travis says, who do you have? I go, well, my trainer's coming on. And Honor goes, he's not your trainer. I said, oh yeah, he's my trainer. I'm like, I'm having my trainer on the show.
Oh, that's love.
So
I love that.
But I definitely want to dive into like your work with kids and the stuff that you do, because I think it's awesome. But Kenny introduces me to Rasheed, and I just loved your energy and your spirit. And, you pull up to my house the first time you come here, and you're like, wait, I went to college across the street.
That's crazy.
And it was funny because I'm telling my husband, I'm like, oh, you know, Kenny brought over a guy that played across the street at Del Val. And he's like, oh, what's his name? And I'm like, Rasheed Bailey. He's like, yeah, duh. He's like, yeah. He's like, he played for the Eagles.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so, and then Sean's here like, yeah, well, I was tracking your story, you know, I'm from Doylestown, but again, like you had a, you know, kind of a crazy upbringing and like your path to the NFL to now in the Canadian Football League. So I want to dive into all of that, but let's kind of start about, like, I'd love to know your friendship, how you guys came to be. You played football at Kutztown.
Yeah.
You were over at Del Val. Like, where did you guys meet? How did you guys link up? And, you know, let's talk about that connection.
Yes, I'll tell it. I'll tell it. So let's bring it back. So I played at Kutztown, and as you know, he went to Del Val. My mom's a big time football fan. And at the time, you know, my dream was always to go pro to the league. But when you come from the smaller schools like Division II, Division III, it's kind of like far-fetched in a way. You don't think it can happen. So she was a Division III guy. My mom's like, yo, have you heard about that dude, Rasheed Bailey? From Del Val, Division III kid getting all these looks. And I'm like, nah, but then I did some research and I'm like, dang, like he about to so like that instantly, like when I heard that, that gave me a lot of motivation. And just to fast forward the story, probably like a year later, my brother-in-law, Torrey Smith, which is his big bro too, the draft was in Philly. And we was at like some restaurant, meeting at some restaurant. And I came outside and he's like, yeah, that's Rasheed. And I said, Rasheed, back? And I'm like, I don't get starstruck like that. But in my head, but I put the connection together. I'm like, yo, my mom was just telling me about you. And then like that was one instant, and we talked. We had the same coach. We vibed a little bit there, but then like we fast forward to like 2017. One of our boys, Brandon Shippen, he was in the NFL too, and I just started training. I just started Reds camp, and I didn't have a lot of guys yet, but like I was. Just like you asked me to come to the crib, I'm coming to the crib.
Yeah.
Whoever he said, yo, I'm bringing this person today, all right, bring him through. So we had a sand workout. I remember he came to the sand workout and it was hot. It was hot that day. Scorching. And you know, I put him through a workout, stuff like that. And he came, he drove back in my car for me to drive back to his car. And it was like 5 minutes, like a 5-minute drive. And within those 5 minutes, we was just into the same stuff. I was telling him a little bit about me. He was telling his story, and you know, it just connected from there. And from there, it was just, you know.
No, it's crazy that you explain it like that because you don't know that people think about you in that way. You just kind of just go about your life and you just kind of just be. And just going to Del Val and doing that stuff and hearing when he told that, he's probably told the story maybe 3 or 4 times now. And I feel the same exact way when I hear it. It's like a surprise, like somebody thought about me in that way. And it's crazy because like during that time, I was looking for somebody, just like you just said. I was looking for somebody who could do everything, somebody who can give me speed in the gym, like somebody who I can like really like, I can trust. And when it came to Ship told me about him. Ship used to work at LA Fitness, like, and my mom, she's a GM at LA Fitness, and I used to just meet everybody in there, and I used to work out in there. And during that time, I had a trainer as well with Doc, and it's crazy because just having that relationship with Ship at first, and then transitioning to meeting him and having that same workout, it was just like just exactly how he said it. It was like we connected on a level where I saw his hunger. I felt his pain. I felt that he was trying to find a direction at that time. And I was on that same path. And then we just kept like building it from there. And every single day we got better from 2017. And we are now here in 2024 and we're still holding strong. And man, like, I can honestly say, bro, I really do love you, dog.
I love you too.
You feel me? Like, it's crazy because like you see how everything transitions and how all of it unfolds. And you see, man, sometimes you don't have to grow up with people to really see what real people are. And sometimes those people come later on in life. And I've been through a lot in my life and I've lost a lot of friends. And I can honestly say you're really my brother, man. It's crazy. And you're my trainer, you're my brother. We talk every day. And I mean, we build off of each other's energy, and now we got a podcast, and we try to do it big.
Yeah.
You're doing it big.
We're
Yeah.
trying to.
Well, let's talk a little bit about like, so you grew up in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You went to
Roxborough High School.
Roxborough High School. And when did you start playing football?
So I played football. It all started when I was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was like one of the first ever and the only family trips that we ever took. I grew up in the projects in Philly, so we didn't really have much. You know what I'm saying? So like we didn't really travel much. We
Yeah.
didn't really do a lot. We didn't go on vacation. We didn't go to the beach. My mom didn't believe in a lot of that stuff, and she had to work. It was just, she was a single parent mom, and we wound up taking this trip, and we went to I think we were in Maryland, and I was probably 6 years old, and they were throwing this like styrofoam football, and we were outside playing on the cement, and I remember what color it was. It was a yellow and purple football. And I remember we were throwing it, and I was like diving. I was always the kid who had all the scrapes on his knees, all the bruises, broke my toe before. I was that rough kid that I needed to be in football. And I was introduced to football at a young age. I was young, and people don't really notice. And I always try to tell people I started my journey on defense. Defense was my first love. When I was younger, I used to play like linebacker. I used to play defensive end. I used to be the tackling dude. I used to always be like one of the top hitters on the team, coming home with headaches, and before concussions was concussions.
It was a headache.
It was a headache. Yeah, it was crazy. But I was a kid just thumping on dudes. And for me, football saved my life, and I would take my anger out there. I would, any pain that I felt, anything that I was going through as a kid, I was just rough. And I would go out there and I would lay it on the line every single time. I would be diving, and like since a kid, it was just always natural to me to play the game, to play the sport.
But what was it? It had to be kind of a weird change for you to go from the projects in Philly and then come out to Bucks County.
It was
at Del Valle University.
No, it was a culture change for me.
I was gonna ask that.
It changed my life to view the world in a different way. And I think when we talk about going to college and we talk about taking that next step in your life, I think that experience alone helped me see things from, it was just black, but then I saw it black and white. You know what I'm saying? I had roommates that were Italian. The one kid was Irish, and we lived in a quad together. I'm removed from that culture that I grew up in, and I was immersed in this culture. And it was like I was waking up to two white dudes in a room, and it was like, oh shit. And like at first it was weird to me.
Yeah.
But it helped me see things from a different perspective. It helped me learn the Italian culture. My roommate, his name was Nick Marino. I still remember his name. That's crazy. His mom was Italian, and she would stock our refrigerator up till it was nothing left in it. It was crazy. And then my boy, he was crazy. He was Irish, and he would just sometimes he would just wake up out of his sleep, and he would be late for class. He would just wake up out of nowhere. It was just like this. This that white boy, they're like, this is crazy. Yeah. And I loved every second of it. It changed me, I experienced things from a different light.
Do you think that football afforded you that opportunity to end up here?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I didn't even know I was going to go to college, to be honest. It was, I knew I was smart enough to go. I didn't know I was going to play football. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have the guidance of, my father during that time that I really needed to help give me the confidence that I know I should have had if we would have had that relationship like we should have.
I think I was telling you, one of the first times I spoke in Philadelphia was at Strawberry Mansion High School. And I think it's closed down. I don't think it's a high school anymore.
It might be closed down.
I think it might have closed down a few years ago.
A rough school for you to go to.
And I remember when I went into that school and I had a police escort, which that was my first sign. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
And there was nothing on the walls, and they told me that they couldn't hang flyers, posters, because kids would just burn them.
Yeah.
And I spoke in the auditorium, you know, it was a ton of heckling. Even when I was walking down
Yeah.
the hallway
Yes.
with the police escort,
Yes.
like kids were just screaming
Yeah.
stuff at me.
Yeah.
And,
Crazy.
you know, and I remember saying, like, if I can affect change in one kid,
Yeah.
I feel like I succeeded today. And then afterwards, they brought me to a luncheon,
Mhm.
you know, it was like a gathering with some of their like best students,
Mhm.
right? And I remember talking to a young man who, like, all he wanted to do was graduate high school. And I think at the time, the graduation rate at Strawberry Mansion was
Low.
like 30 or
Very low.
40%.
Very low.
Just to graduate.
Graduate.
And they're like, we're just trying to get these kids to
Yeah.
show up
To
at
show
school.
Yeah.
And it was like, you talk about
Yeah.
that change for you, where you come out
was
here to
awesome.
Del Val, like me being in that environment, I was blown away because
Yeah.
like, you know, there is no what's the graduation rate in the
No,
high schools out
no,
here. It's
no,
like
it's not.
everyone graduates.
Right.
It's what percentage goes to college, which is probably 90%,
90%,
you
yeah.
know? And it was just wild.
It's so, like, when you say it like that, it gives me so much power when I tell my story.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like you never want to be the story that is like the repetitive, oh, this black kid grew up in a bad neighborhood, didn't really, and I tell myself that, like, man, like, just stop that story. But that is my story.
Yeah.
And like, when you break it down like that, like, I grew up in that type of environment. We had metal detectors going to school. We had, you know what I'm saying? Like, that heckling and all that, like, that used to be us, like, saying like little jokes when people came to come see us. And you don't really value it until you like really step out of from your own perspective and be like, dang, like, this lady really might have something to say that might help change my life. But during that time, there's so much going on. They fighting every single day, you know, people getting killed. Like, it was a lot. And I dealt with that. And to make it out of that, you know, it's a blessing, you know, and I'm extremely fortunate to be here. Like I said, when I first started, like, I lost a lot of my friends.
I was going to say, like,
And-
you know, your story is
Yeah.
probably not your friend's story.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And for me, like, that could have been me, you know, and
Well, what do you think the difference was, though? Like, you say that could have been you, right?
The
Why
difference-
wasn't it you?
the
Like,
difference
what was the difference?
The difference is I made better choices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying better choices. I just made some of the right choices. And I think it comes down to the choices that you make. You know, a lot of where we come from is the choices that we make. Sometimes you can't really, sometimes it's just in you to be a certain kind of way. Sometimes you have to remove yourself from certain situations. And sometimes you got to have a strong mother. And I had that.
Yeah.
And my mom would not let us go outside. You had to clean up before you went out. Like, it were just certain things that my mom protected us from that at the time when I was a kid, it was just like, why is she doing this? Why is she telling me I can't do this? And I used to get angry. I used to punch the wall. I used to be so upset because I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And if it was up to me, I probably would be at that time because I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be in the mix. I wanted to ride with my homies, and I wanted to fight when they fought. But my mindset was, I'm going to make it out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see better days. And I've always had this mentality of, I want more for myself. And the thing that hurts me the most is, but it doesn't hurt me, but it makes me who I am. I tried to bring everybody with me. And I couldn't. And I think that's the pain that I hold sometimes when I think about it. I've had individual conversations with every person that I lost. And was this close to almost like, I'm with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, to having them right there. I really never talked about this out loud. And it's hard for me when I build friendships. That's why when I say how much I care about you, like, I don't play around with that.
Yeah.
I don't play around with family. I don't play around when it comes to, that's why I respect you. I see you, your family, the pictures. To me, I'll do anything for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll run through a brick wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
good to know.
that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? Once we in, we in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like my spiel when it comes to.
Well, I think it's interesting because, you know, one of our board members at the Travis Manion Foundation, his name's Keith Palmer. He's a Black man who grew up in Philadelphia. And went on to be a Marine. Now has a very high up position at Johnson & Johnson. Does amazing for himself. He's an incredible, he's just an incredible board member, volunteer for our organization. But he actually shared his story of growing up in Philadelphia. And he shared the story of him and his cousin. And he said, you know, both of them got in trouble one summer, and his mom really like laid the hammer down on him, and his cousin didn't have the same type of restrictions, punishment that he had gotten. And he said, I went in this direction and my cousin went in that direction. And it's like, it's just, you know, you always try to figure out, because we like, when you think about when you're working with underprivileged youth, and it's like, how can I be the somebody that that something I'm going to say is going to click with them, that's going to make them want to follow that right path? And I think there's so many factors to that.
It is.
But obviously it's like coming from a strong background of having those parents or those guardians that are going to drive you. Yeah.
And it has to be consistent.
Right.
If it's consistent, that's what helps change these kids' lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's waking kids up at 5:30 in the morning. You think it's not for fun. It's to build a mentality.
Yeah.
We're not playing. We're trying to breed athletes and people who want to be successful.
Well, I think about that. I think about that a lot.
I said about your daughters.
Yeah. So like, I think my daughter is this super interesting case study, because from the moment because I try to think, I've got 3 kids. They're all completely different. So again, Kenny comes here 2 mornings a week, 5:30, and it's all driven by my oldest, Maggie. She sets it up. But like from the moment she was born, she was go.
She just had it.
And she just had it. Like she had that drive.
Yeah.
And so everything she does, and I think I parent my kids well, you got to parent a little bit differently, but the point is like, I'm trying to teach them all the fundamentals. And honor, I say a lot to Maggie, like, Honor is probably more athletically gifted on the field, because she will go out and she's a little gnarly, like where she's got a little bit of an attitude to her, you know, and she's not afraid. Maggie's biggest like demon is her mind. Like she gets out there and she'll like doubt herself. I mean, she's an incredible athlete, but like she's a little bit like she's in her head. Where Honor's just like, she doesn't think. She went out, she'll knock girls down, she doesn't care. But nothing compares to the drive that Maggie has, where she just like, and I was laughing because I was saying today, I'm like, I'm so sore. And I said, I'm saying to my coworker, I said, yeah, you know, I get up and Kenny's telling me like, all right, we're doing, you know, presses. He's like, Honor, you use 10 pounds. Ryan, you're 15 pounds. He's like, Maggie, 35. And Maggie's just like, you know, and I'm like, you know, by my 3rd set, I'm struggling. I was struggling this morning, but she just doesn't give up. And, you know, what I love to know from you, Kenny, is like, when you think about like all these different kids that you're training, right? And obviously you're training like peak performance athletes that want to be the best in their game. But what do you see as like a big differentiator between these kids? Like what sets them apart?
That's a good question. I think you said it. I think the drive. I think when some kids, they either got it or you don't. I always say that, but I also think that you can build that certain mentality. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm hard on. Like I love building kids' mental. I got a lot of kids that's not the most talented, don't got the drive a little bit, but need that extra push. But once you get that extra push out of them, again, it just changes that mentality. Now, like, and I'm using Honor as an example. At first, she wasn't getting up at 5:30.
She wasn't getting up.
Bro, she wasn't getting up.
Yeah.
And now it's like even her form and stuff like that. And that's me constantly just saying, Honor, I see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see the form.
Yes.
I see where you getting stronger. You're not getting the 15s no more.
And this morning,
you know what I mean?
he was like, we did 3 sets of 10 pull-ups.
Yeah.
And Honor's like, I can't do it. And she's like, Kenny's going, but you're doing it.
You're doing
like
it.
as she was doing them, she's like, I can't do this. He goes, you're doing it right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
you
So
know?
like I think that's the main thing is just again, some kids they just got that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you can't teach that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just all about, pushing them mentally, physically, and emotionally too. And I think, like she said, if you continue being consistent with that,
Yeah.
and every day, just how you doing today,
Mhm.
just give them that extra confidence. You just gotta build them up.
well, I think you have such a good way about how you work with, I mean, I say kids, but how you work with me too,
Yeah, yeah.
like I'm not intimidated, right? I don't walk in feeling like, uh-oh, I'm scared.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah, right.
so, and you're not like so hard that it makes you afraid to come back,
Right.
Yeah.
but you're also,
Not
Pushing,
easy.
like,
Yeah,
pushing
you're-
today. I was going. I mean, we was pushing for them pull-ups.
yes, in full transparency, I did have to use one of
That's
those bands. I did not do 3 sets of 10 pull-ups.
So we did set of 8 and 2 sets of 5 good ones.
Yeah,
So, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So that's all I'm about. Just pushing the kids today in max effort and just building them.
Yeah,
Because I think confidence goes a long way at the end of the day.
yeah, it does. You are working with professional level athletes
Professional too, yeah.
all the way to
You
like kids, like
Kids.
little kids, like you've run my 9-year-old through a workout.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you change things up?
Just the intensity level. Of course, for like a youth kid who doesn't really know how to lift weights or move
Yeah.
properly, like you start from the basics, how to squat,
Mhm.
how to run properly, how to, do a push up, just form based stuff. But with the pros, it's not a lot of correcting, but it's like a small little detail on things. You know what I mean? Like for she, like we might work on, I call it like the 1-2.
Yeah.
And sometimes he might, get outside his frame a little bit. Look, bro, if you look at the video, you step too wide on that first step.
Mhm.
So we just breaking down small little details.
Being
with
like
the pros.
super specific.
Super, because they pros like at the highest level. Like,
Yeah.
working with
Yeah.
Craig Sowers, Hassan Reddick, like seeing them, and sometimes when I'm in a session, all I can say is good job and shit. You know what I mean? I can't really say too much, but like sometimes I'll just give little cute pointers and cues. But with them, it's like they need me there for the energy.
Do
Yeah.
you think like I've been trying to analyze
Yeah.
the Eagles season,
Mhm.
since last week.
Yeah.
We're still burnt about it, right,
Yeah.
Sean?
Mhm.
And so clearly there was like a breakdown there. Something happened,
Yeah.
right? And clearly, I think there was a lot of it was mental. I think so,
Yeah.
and in some ways they couldn't get past that mental block. But
Mhm.
like, how do you work with, and I've even seen Maggie get into these places
Mhm.
where she almost has like a mental block, because it's like you clearly have the ability because you did it 3 games ago.
Mhm.
Why are you not like, how do you work past the psychological part?
Mhm.
Because I think when you get to a certain level
Yeah.
as an
Yes.
athlete,
Yes.
it's you're at that level, right? There's no more, I mean, obviously you got to keep perfecting, right? But you're at that level that there has to be something that gets you over that hump, or you're gonna hit these like roadblocks, right?
100%. And you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Because I talk to them, but you probably know more.
Yeah.
than I was.
I mean,
but
It's hard.
yeah.
Every week is something new. You're going through film, you're going through the process of performing in front of people. I've won 2 championships up in Canada. We've just lost 2 back-to-back. Individually, you need to hone in on what we talked about last week, what you do well,
Yeah.
Mhm.
what you struggle with,
Yeah.
and you need to craft that.
Yeah.
See, a lot of us, when it comes to like these, like being a pro athlete, it's not just about what you're doing physically with your body.
Yeah.
People think that, oh, I gotta lift, I gotta work out. But some of the best things I have that I do within my training and within like my process throughout the weeks during game weeks, I go to yoga twice a week. I get a massage twice a week. I'm going to see the chiropractor. I'm doing so many different things to
What are
help.
you doing outside of your body though? Like, what are you
So-
doing mentally?
So mentally, now I want to talk about that. When I'm in these sessions,
Mhm.
we're talking. Like when I'm having my massage therapy, this is a time where like I'm speaking, I'm talking about it. Exactly when it comes to yoga. Like this year, I found myself in so many ways that I never knew. I'm in a hot room. I'm alone in my thoughts. It's quiet and it's a place where I can free myself.
Yeah.
Also, not only when it comes to that, I do Bible study every single week. And when I tell you, when it comes to fellowshipping, like we're fellowshipping right now,
Yeah.
and you get to talk about what you're going through, that makes it so much easier when it comes to, I know what that person is going through.
Yeah.
I'll fight for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It becomes bigger than the game. I always say we won those 2 championships back to back like we did because we had a strong core in that room of the Bible study room. And we would go in there and we would talk about things that we struggle with.
That was with your teammates. They
With
did
my
that.
teammates, yes. We have a chapel leader that we have that comes in. We'll have a session and it won't be like we're in there looking at the Bible and
Oh, yeah.
we have like a video that we play. One year we had like a Tim Tebow series. One year we have like the guy Tony Evans from the Cowboys. He has a really good chapel. But all those different things that help create this mindset to help keep you on track. Yo, people don't really understand you. Like when you're out there in the field and you don't want to talk or you're not communicating, it's not what's going on out there. It's something that's going on outside.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people don't humanize the position. You know what I'm saying? Like this athlete has been through something. This athlete plays on the highest level. There's something that sometimes he just doesn't have it sometimes.
Yeah.
That you just got to keep finding it. You got to find different ways to make yourself a better person, a better athlete, and ultimately it'll help you win. And I think when you talk about the Eagles situation, they just hit that roadblock and they look like a bunch of individuals out there.
Yeah. Totally.
And you look at it and you see it from that perspective and you can go watch the games. You be like, you really see it. They lost their identity for a little bit. They switched defensive coordinators. You got defensive players that look like they don't know what's going on. Why? Because there's a lack of communication and you need consistency.
Well,
And they lost that.
I think that's such a huge thing too, is the morale of team-based sports,
Yes.
right? Because
Offered.
it is something that can sometimes be beyond one individual's
Yes.
control.
Yes.
You know, so you look at like sports where they're individual sports, like wrestling. So
Yes.
my brother was a wrestler.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a team-based sport because you all have to win. But at the end of the day, it's you and the other guy on the mat. So it's wherever you are physically and mentally that's going to, determine the outcome
Yes.
of that match. But like in a team-based sport, if you don't have the morale of that entire team and that culture is bad, it's over. It doesn't matter if you have the 10 best performance players
Yes.
out there. It doesn't matter.
It's got to be cohesive.
Yeah.
It has to be as one. That's why it's so hard to win. It's so hard to win in the NFL. It's so hard to win in professional sports, period, when you have a team sport.
Yeah.
Because you got to get everybody thinking the same.
Yeah.
On the same board.
Like,
Sure.
you got guys party every single night. You got guys who take care of their body and make sure they do things the right way. And you got to get those guys that are the bad apples. You got to get them to be cohesive and being together. And it's hard. You know,
Yeah.
it's a bunch of grown men who have real problems, real things they go through. And you got to go out there and perform every single week. And it's hard.
I mean, I just think that like a focus on the mental side
Yes.
of sports
Huge.
is so huge. And it's not something that there is a focus on. Like the sports psychology, the like mental health of athletes,
Yeah.
like all of that.
And I will say, I think teams are doing a better job with that. It may not be
Maybe at the professional level, but
at the professional level,
yeah.
yes.
I'm
And
even
it-
talking about youth,
that
from the
needs-
beginning.
That needs to be a thing.
Yeah.
Because it has become a thing professional.
Yeah.
Because we have a person on our team, she's a psychologist. And she comes in, and a head coach will get up there and he'll talk and he'll say, listen, Adrian's here. If you want to talk, there's no pressure. If you feel like you want to just have a conversation, if you want to just talk, whatever you want to do, it's a safe place.
Yeah.
And you can go and talk to her. It's for you. And I'm not saying that everybody uses it.
Right. But it's available.
But
And
it's
that's,
available.
I mean, just having it available and like destigmatizing it is that's half
Yes.
the battle,
It's
you know?
big
But
time.
I think about like, cause I look at Maggie you know, she won't stop. Like she doesn't know when to stop. So like she came down this morning and she busted out that workout, but she's not feeling good.
Right.
And I even said to her last night when she came home, she said, my throat hurts. I don't feel good. And I said, maybe you don't work out tomorrow morning. And she's like, I'll be fine. You know, and I was just like, okay. And I knew she was going to show up. I knew she was going to walk down the stairs this morning, but it's like understanding your body, understanding where you're at, not pushing yourself. Like at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, kids don't understand. They don't understand. And even to like watch those cues with your body, like my biggest challenge with her is her working herself, is overworking herself, you know? And I always think about like that mental, you know, she's going to a service academy next year.
Right.
So she's basically, you know, as of next year, she'll be, you know, serving in the military and playing a Division I sport. And I believe that she is more than ready for that mentally. She's, you know, but I also want to make sure that there's those checks with her, you know, and that's something that I always think about with all of my kids when I look at them,
and
you know,
you're a mother, you have
I'm a mom.
You have that motherly.
Well, yeah, and you know, and I listen, I went to Widener, which was, you know, we rival school to Del Val, and
we don't like them.
and I played lacrosse at Widener, and you know, my kids like to laugh and say, "Oh, you played Division III," and I'm like, last time I checked, I'm the only one that has played collegiate sports. So until you step out on a field, I'm still the only one in this family that has played at the collegiate level.
Right.
But
man, that hurts here and there.
I know.
Division III.
Yeah.
But that was that fueled me. That fuels me when I hear that.
But also, kids don't understand how hard it is to play a college sport.
Yeah.
Like that's hard.
Yeah.
It is.
Division I, Division II, Division III, it's hard.
Yeah.
So,
but I also think I push my kid, you know, listen, whatever my kids choose, but we encouraged our kids to continue playing sports and hopefully make it to the collegiate level.
Yes.
Because I know what playing sports, if I did not play lacrosse in college, I probably wouldn't have graduated.
No,
Like that is
it's the structure.
truth. I performed, my GPA was twice as good as it was in season as it was out of season. Because out of season, you had like, you know, your fall ball, your lifts, but like it was a free for all.
You're free.
When I knew, okay, I'm lifting in the morning, and then I've got practice after school, I had to prioritize my time. And it totally created structure for me. And I would have been at the bars every single night had I not played a sport in college. So I see how important it is just in life and team sports in life. It's such a huge thing.
And we talked about that transition from being from where I'm from and going to college. That was one of those things too, where you got to be able to tell yourself no.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
And sports helps keep you in check with that stuff, man. And it definitely saved me.
Yeah.
It saved me a lot because I knew if I didn't play, if I didn't perform in a classroom, I couldn't play.
Right.
So, you know, it's crazy.
So what made you, Kenny, to decide, you know, obviously you kind of had those aspirations to play after college. How did you take the leap from like that to, all right, you know what, that's not going to happen for me. I'm going to train athletes.
I want to hear this.
It's funny though, because like, I always still wanted to play at the highest level. Like my mom, I told you, my family has so much like, my brother Kyle had so much faith in me to like, yo, bro, you could have played at the next level. And like, again, it goes to me, the mindset. I had a little self-doubt. You know, I was halfway in, halfway out. I was scared that I was going to fail. You know what I mean? And I just, and I'm not going to say I didn't have nobody to push me over that hump, but I just never really got past that hump. And I did like a CFL tryout. I did a CFL tryout at Winder. And that tryout actually kind of ruined it for me because it was like, you've never been to one of them things, but it's like thousands of people, like people just off the street type stuff coming to these tryouts. And it was so unorganized. I just felt like it was a money getter. And, you know, I did solid or whatever. And I had an internship at the time at Powertrain Sports. This is like before that time, but I was training there. So like I already knew that like I love helping people out and stuff like that. So I had a plan B. Some people say don't have plan Bs and stuff like that because they'll affect plan A. But I actually had a plan B because I got into something and started liking it.
Yeah.
And then after I graduated college, I started my business and my boy Brandon Shipping brought him up. It's like, yo, man, he came up and trained with me. And I'm like, yo, man, can you see me training? He said, yeah. And it was hot at the time. I knew people back in my hometown. I didn't burn any relationships, and I knew people would just give me a shot just because I was good to them.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know it was gonna like be big, but I knew if I was like, yo, it could have been anything. Yo, I'm washing cars.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, people were gonna give you a shot.
Give me a shot because I built them relationships in my hometown. And I started with one person, Craig Reynolds. He's on the Detroit Lions now.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's on the Detroit
And you were
Lions.
just at the game
He's
with
at
him,
the
right?
game.
And he went to Kutztown
To
too?
Kutztown.
That's
He was
awesome.
my first client, and every day we got up at 5 a.m. I
Mhm.
said, yo, bro, we're gonna get up at 5,
Yeah.
work out at 5, work out at 6,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do whatever. I didn't know what I was doing at first. But one thing I did know was that mentality.
Yeah.
We was getting up at 5, just like we here. And we
Well,
was building
and
that mentality.
you know what I think is so interesting? So
Yeah.
one of a guy that I had on the podcast, his name's Michael Easter,
Mhm.
and he's all about, he calls himself like be a 2%er. So like don't take the escalator, take the stairs, because only 2% of people will take the stairs when
Yeah.
there's an escalator right
Yeah.
there. So it's all about just like finding time for movement.
Yeah.
And he just did a post the other day, and it was all about how people overcomplicate getting physically fit. It's like, well, I don't know how to go down and I don't know how to lift. And I was a little bit like that when I got started. I think I told you, Kenny,
Yeah.
when I've always been a runner.
Yeah.
That's because you just run,
Right.
right? Like
Got
that's,
nothing to
I
extra.
lifted in college, but after college, like I just ran.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right, and if it was I'm working out, it was me going for a run.
For a run,
I
yeah.
did nothing else but
Yeah.
go for a run.
Yeah.
And so it was probably about 2 years ago that I was like, all right, I got to start, I'm over 40 and all you see is like strength training. Like they're like, you don't need to run another day in your life. You can walk, but you have to strength train.
Yes.
And so, and I got a little bit intimidated by,
Yeah.
I'm looking up all these different programs and I'm reading like, do a sumo squat and a snatch. And I'm like, I don't even know what these terms mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember anything from college because in college you went into the weight room and they would just tell you this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I got very intimidated by this idea of like, how do you strength train?
Yeah.
And then you can get really roped into like, oh, if you're not training your muscles to do this and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of like blocked it all out. And I'm like, if I go down and I pick up the weight and I go like this,
Yeah.
something is going to happen,
Yeah.
And so Michael put out this post the other day all about like not overcomplicating exercise.
People do that all the time.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, listen, I bring you in because I'm not going to get up at 5:30 if I don't know that you're going to be walking in my door.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And
So-
sometimes you need people to help get you to that point.
Well, I mean, today was a perfect example.
Mhm.
I felt like crap this morning. I didn't want to get up. I knew you were coming. So obviously I got up. I was probably at 40%
Yep.
where I was doing back squats with the same weight that I was doing on Sunday.
Mhm.
And I was ripping them out. I felt like Superwoman on Sunday because I had moved up in weight. And then Kenny's like, all right, we're going to do the same thing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm dying,
Yeah.
but like, I needed you there for that
100%.
motivation.
And like I said, sometimes you're 40%. You're not always, and tell my young athletes this all the time. Because some of them, their parents might force them to come. Sometimes they want to come on their own. But
Yeah.
then the times that they don't want to come, you can tell they dragging through. And I'm like, look, bro, or sis, sometimes your 40% is gonna be 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love
As
you
long
said that
as
today.
as long as you get there,
It's true.
like that's why you got me there to push you through. But those be your best workouts because that's
Yeah.
when you grow the most. Because you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you force yourself to be there. That's when you grow the most.
That's a
What
true
is your
story.
favorite age to train with?
My favorite age is probably that's a good question. I like elementary as in like 4th, 5th graders, they're good. And I like the high school kids too.
Yeah.
College kids is cool too because they got that hunger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I love training the pros too, but it's different
No, it's
when
fine. You don't gotta throw it in there.
it's different. Like from a standpoint with them, it's like cool to just see. All right, that's how I want it to look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
But
yeah.
with the younger kids, it's cool to
You
see
gotta-
their growth.
Yeah, to teach you.
Even like Maggie and I, like just to see them get stronger and them loving to work out now. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not using Honor as a crazy example, but it's like I just feel like she into that thing now. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and you know, the difference with her is like she comes home every day
Yeah.
and she goes out on the bounce back. Like
Mhm.
she's doing other things outside of working with you
Yeah.
that she probably wouldn't be doing
Yeah.
if she wasn't driven by what you're having her do
Yeah,
in the
And that's why,
mornings.
like, my favorite thing is when a parent hits me up and be like, "Yo, like when they say they got K Reyes today, you should see him." They like it's never like, "Oh, you got Kenny today." Oh man, I love hearing that. So like,
Yeah, that's
to be real, I love training I love the youth. I
Yeah.
love the youth. But again, from a professional standpoint, I love just seeing how it comes all together. Like
Mhm.
that's what I like. That's what I want to see right there.
Yeah.
You should do like a documentary. You should take
Mhm.
like one of those kids in 4th and 5th grade, you know?
So we're gonna start with my nephew.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
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 I've
so
seen.
that's our plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got and just like track the
Yeah.
progression
Yeah.
of his like path.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
That would be dope.
I've seen videos of your little nephew.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
looks like
And it's a lot of I got like 4 of them.
Four of them. Yeah, they
4 of
nice.
them.
It's
So-
in their blood, man.
Yeah, so it's cool to see them actually grow. And so yeah, I am gonna do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
When do you think you hit your like peak of knowing? So after you left out of Del Val, you got drafted to the Eagles. Is that undrafted to the
Yeah,
Eagles?
so basically what happens is they sign like when the draft ends, and I thought I was gonna get drafted. You know, you got hopes that it might happen. It was a lot that took place and so many stories I could tell you. But what happens is like right after the draft ends, you get like multiple phone calls from different teams.
Yeah.
And you got a choice to make. And I had probably like 4, 5 teams, and they each tell you, all right, you'll get this signing bonus, this or that, or 0, or you get nothing. You're just gonna come and be a part of the team. And if you make the team, you'll get that contract that you signed for.
Yeah.
So I remember having the opportunity to like have a choice. And the phone rang and they were like, my agent was calling. It was like Philly, they wanna sign you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I gotta make a decision, like where I want to go. Like deep down inside, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like,
How is
I
it
know.
even a decision?
And at that time, like I never left home ever.
Right.
Never been on a plane, never did anything.
Right.
So it was just like, for me, it was just like,
Yeah, no brainer.
sign me up.
Yeah.
And I told the story, I won an award at the Maxwell Awards. I won Tri-State Player of the
Oh,
Year.
right.
Brian Westbrook Tri-State Player of the Year award. And when I gave a speech there was Pat Shermer, the offensive coordinator from the Eagles, that was there and heard me speak.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I gave probably one of the best speeches. Like that's where like Showtime Speaks was like born. And it was loud in there. And then I remember when I was talking, it got real quiet. I made my mom stand up.
Oh.
And it was probably one of the best moments of my life, you know, because the whole room was just like talking, and it was just like I wasn't getting that respect that I thought that I needed.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because I was like specifically talking to my mom. I didn't care. As long as she heard me, I was fine. And as I kept delving deeper into how I felt about her and just getting there, the whole room just got quiet. And then at the end, everybody was clapping. And it was like you could hear a pin drop, and it was crazy. And you know, the guy who called me on the phone when I got signed was Pat Shermer.
That's cool.
And he was in the audience that day, and he was like, "How would you feel to come be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles?" And the whole house went crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember like it was yesterday, and you know, it's a moment that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sad that it didn't pan out how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
But I think it panned out how it was supposed to.
Well, it took you to where you are now, right?
It
You have to
did.
look at that.
You know, and I think that every journey is a stepping stool to where you're trying to go.
So do you think that you'd ever come back to like what is it? The USFL?
No. No,
Is that what they call it now? I don't know.
They call it
Like
XFL, UFL.
UFL.
No,
UFL. Yeah.
no, I've like I always wanted to come back to the NFL. You know, when I've spent like 5 years bouncing around the NFL for a while. I was in Carolina, I was in Cleveland, I was in San Diego when they were when it was San Diego with the Chargers. I was in Carolina for a year. I was with the Eagles twice. I was there the Super Bowl in the beginning of the Super Bowl year and back in 2015. So like I got a chance to experience so many different things, so many different people,
Yeah.
and I got friends from every place that I've been, you know, and I'll never forget, you know, like the first time I ever got on the plane, Mark Sanchez had like a wide receiver quarterback thing out in San Diego. My first flight was 5 hours. And I went out there and it was crazy, man.
And that was the first time you
That
were
was
on a
my
plane?
first time on a plane. It was 5 hours. And it was cool. You know, that experience, it took me out of my element.
Yeah.
I was in San Diego where it was seals down the street. Like it was like literally you can walk over and you can look over the edge and it's 1,000 seal and
Yeah.
it smelled like crap out there. You know, but it was beautiful though.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my aspirations to come back down and play in one of these leagues, it's not I've built such a rapport up in Canada. People know me by first name up there.
Yeah.
People are buying my jerseys and listening to the podcast. And, you know, I've built such a big name up there that it's just like I'm happy where I am.
Yeah.
You know, and it took me a long time to accept that I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need to be validated by playing in the NFL anymore. You know, I was able to come, I could still come to games. And the one thing that helped me was winning the championship. Winning the championship up in Canada with the Grey Cup and winning 2 back-to-back. And those rings, the way they sit on my finger, I play the game for respect.
Right.
I play the game to inspire people. I play the game to, you know, I'm not trying to be rich no more. Like you go to the NFL, you want to be rich, you want to be famous, you want to be.
Well, I also think you're still playing the game.
And I'm still playing the game. You know what I'm saying?
You
I'm still
could not
playing.
be playing the game
I could
at
not
all.
be playing at all.
Yeah.
So like for me, like I appreciate everything.
Yeah.
I look at things differently. My perspective is from a different, you know, like, so like for me, I love having fun with it, but I like inspiring people.
Yeah.
Like I'm not supposed to be here and I'm still here.
So what would you say to the 10-year-old kid living in Roxborough today that is outside getting scraped up, catching that yellow and purple styrofoam ball in the street and, you know, has dreams of being a football player somewhere?
Bang. That gets me like emotional, man. It's crazy because I would tell that 10-year-old kid that don't you ever give up. You know, I know it doesn't look like you might make it. And I know you're hearing gunshots every single night and things don't seem right. And your mom she's telling you what to do or what you can't do. And you're upset. Your dad's not there like you want him to be. But you got a heart that's built of something out of this world. And you can be whoever you want to be. And what you feel and what you know is going to come true. Because you believe in it. Like, I believed in that little boy. I believe in you. And like, we talked about it with the mental health stuff. I see you. I used to get in trouble a lot when I was a kid and I wanted to be seen. And telling that 10-year-old self, I see you, that's big time. Because all I ever wanted to do was be loved. I wanted to be accepted for who I was. I was always this passionate kid, but you're gonna make it. And I love you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's big time and then it means a lot to me and I feel it. And
I feel it too, bro.
And you go back there too. It's something we didn't really discuss, but like you're talking to those kids.
I am.
Yeah.
Like I said it last week, Whenever I'm talking and doing my speeches, I'm talking to the kid in me
Yeah.
that's not confident, that doesn't believe. And it's like you asking me that question is like making me go back to those moments where I wish I had somebody telling me that I was enough
Mhm.
or I had it, and as I got older, it came, but it was time where I ain't had no hope. Like it was times where I thought I was gonna die. And I was scared. I didn't think I was gonna make it. And the one person who made me believe was my brother. And that's why I have a respect for you, because my brother went to the Army out of college, and um, it changed my life. Um, I don't say it out loud a lot, but he's like one of my heroes, like, and I don't tell him enough. Um, when he left, because he was always a year older than me, he went to college first.
Mhm.
He left the nest first. So he gave me a belief that I can go somewhere.
Yeah.
He went to Penn State. I'm like, I can go somewhere too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's so much that I could talk about that gets me emotional, but I'm so blessed that I'm still here, and I'm able to give what I can give, um and keep that 10-year-old boy that I know that still lives inside to keep going, and it's special.
And just tell them what Showtime Speaks is, man. We got the. That's why I want you to get. That's why I asked to tell them what Showtime Speaks is, man.
No, Showtime Speaks
Yeah.
is that,
And tell them what you're trying to get into and all that.
it's crazy because Showtime Speaks is that. And I started it by, I've always been a talker.
Yeah.
I've always been inspirational. And Kenny helped with unlocking that. Like, yo, you need to go speak in front of a camera, bro. Because when you talk to me, I feel that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I want to run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
When you talk. And I'm like,
Well, I felt like when the first time I met you, Kenny brought you over and I gave you a couple pointers and like an hour later, you're like, how's this look? You're texting me like a one pager and I'm like, yeah, that looks better than mine. Good job.
Nah, it's just like, yo, it pains me when I hear like, yo, y'all just starting the podcast. No.
Yeah.
I've been laying seeds down for such a long time, and it is what it is now. And
well, I think it's important. Like, listen, Sean and I talk about it all the time. Like, everybody and their grandmother's sister's brother has a podcast, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you have something important you want to share, and for me, like I'm so inspired by your journey and your path, and similarly, like I'm inspired by you, by what I see you doing for my kids, right? But like the thing is like your voice needs to be heard, not just by your inner 10-year-old self, but by all the other 10-year-olds that are still living in Roxborough. Like you need to make sure that those kids hear your voice. And I know you're going back to schools. I know you're going over to Del Val talking to the football, but like it's so important. And that's a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
So our veterans at the Travis Manion Foundation, like our flagship program is called Character Does Matter.
Yeah.
Literally, when your brother gets out of the Army and takes off his uniform, we're going to be calling him up and saying, hey, you took the uniform off, but we still need you to serve. And we want you to go back into the schools you grew up in. And we want you to share your story, right? We want you to talk about service and leadership and courage and, moral courage, the moral courage to make the tough decisions where all the kids are doing one thing and you're going to do the other, right? But it's super important for our next generation to have those mentors, to have those people in front of them that are, because again, you talk about like, it was my mom. My mom was there. My mom was pushing me. Not everybody has your mom, right? And so you need the Rasheeds that are out there. You need the Kennys that are out there that are in front of these kids that maybe don't have that inside their home, you know?
That's very true. And that's what Showtime Speaks is for, and that's kind of how it all started. I knew that giving money and doing all that stuff and trying to buy book bags and turkey drives and all that stuff, like that's like a Band-Aid that you put on stuff. The route that I wanted to take was to speak,
Yeah.
because it's not about what you say. It's not about how you say it. Maya Angelou said, it's about how you make people feel.
Yeah.
And if you can make people feel like they got hope, that's how you create a better generation. That's how you create, you know, a better system in people's head where they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it's all about. And you know, it's beautiful to see how it's all coming together, and the connections from different people and the relationships that God has put me in front of, and allows me to be able to speak and tell my story, and bring it in people's living room. For Christmas, I sat there with my family and watched one of the episodes from the podcast on Christmas Day, and it almost made me break down in tears, because my mom's watching, my little sister's watching, I'm watching, my brother is watching, and we all getting teary-eyed together.
That's awesome.
That is what it's all about. And that's, you can't take that feeling away from anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's dope.
Well, I love the idea that, again, you know, Maggie had a former NFL strength and training coach, and he had this long pedigree of everything that he did and all the NFL teams he worked with, and you know, and he was a nice guy. I don't think she connected with him, you know, and I think it was the first time she went to your place, like she connected. She's like, this is my guy, you know, and
Different type of energy.
yeah, and it is, it was like, and you had put her and her friends like in your story.
That's what my brother was doing.
Yeah.
I gotta get him back to doing my content.
Yeah.
He was filming everything.
It was great. And I'm like watching your story and I'm like, oh my God. And it's like, you can't even hear because the music's so loud. And you know, she was flipping tires, and then there was somebody in the NBA, she said, was
She talking about DJ Newbell. He actually played at he went to Strawberry Mansion. I was gonna mention it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays overseas.
Okay. And I'm like, who's that? She's like, oh, he's some professional basketball player. And he's like next to her, and I'm like, I love this so much.
Football guys in there, so yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's good stuff.
yeah, for sure.
So we always talk about, you know, again, it's and you guys have kind of covered it, but we always talk about like what it means to live a resilient life, right? So I'll start with you, Kenny. Like, what does living a resilient life look like for you?
For me, it looks like never stopping, not giving up. Whatever goal you have in mind, you're doing anything it takes to get to the end goal. And that's basically what my brand is about. Reds, right? Having that relentless mentality, right? The E, giving 100% effort, not 80%, not 60%, but 100% effort in anything you do. Like I said, I told kids, whether you want to be a professional athlete, whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, if you want to do anything in life, right? Being resilient, being relentless means not giving up.
Yeah.
So for me, living a resilient life is about not giving up and doing anything willing it takes to get to wherever you're trying to get to in life.
What about you?
Man, you said a lot.
Yeah.
I think being resilient to me is, you know, never answering to no. You know what I'm saying? Really never giving up, like you said. You know, resilient to me is when it looks like it's not going to work and you find a way to make it work. That's resilient. When I think about resilient, I think about myself. I think about where they said I was supposed to be. And I think about everything that I did to get to where I am. It makes me smile because I am resilient. I'm very resilient. I'm a dog. I don't accept no.
Talk that talk.
For me, it's just like it's an attitude that you wake up with.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if somebody's going to tell me no, and I'm not going to find a way to hear yes. And I don't know, man. I was this Division III kid, this late bloomer. And this is my 9th year being a pro and going into my 10th year. So you talk about resilient, you talk about winning championships, finding different ways to get to your dream. I've been cut 6, 7 times. I found a way. I've had to pick myself back up. I've cried. I've scraped my knees a few times, my elbows, my shoulders. I've lost. I've won. I am resilient. Like, I really wake up wanting to be great. And that's why I'm a pro athlete. It's not about what I did yesterday. It's about what I'm going to do today. It's funny, you said something about your daughter not feeling good. I don't feel good right now, but I'm here. And later on, I'm going to get another one in. You know what I'm saying?
So
And
my daughter, she's got
like,
training with Kenny at 6.
You have to. Like, you gotta
Yeah.
be resilient to be and get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I'm just extremely blessed to even thank you for having me on the show.
I love that you said I am resilient, right? Like I've asked that question 75, 80 times, however many episodes there's been, right? What is living? No one's ever said I am resilient. Like, what does living a resilient life look like? And they're like, you know, they give the answers and they're all great answers, but no one's ever said I am resilient.
No,
Like,
yeah.
I love that.
I'm not afraid of me no more.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say, I'm not afraid to hear no either.
Yeah.
Because I want you to say no. I want you to say that because I'm going to find a way. And I don't know, man. He's helped me with that.
So you guys on your last episode, and I was telling Kenny, you had a mental health coach, a woman on, and you guys started like beatboxing, and then you turned it over to her, and I said, "Oh my God, I would have died if I was her." And you put me on the spot like that. Literally, I would have died. I would have got up and ran out of the studio. And she did such a good job. I was like, I don't know who she is, but she did amazing.
So we like, I'm talking about 30 seconds before we told her.
Oh, okay. So she kind of knew.
So she had a little bit.
Yeah, she was like, shit, what rhymes with?
Exactly. So she had a little bit of time. And that's kind of what people think. That's not a part of our show. That is just.
In a way it is.
In a way it is.
Like,
But we do that.
All right.
To break the
then,
ice.
Okay, I'm not giving you 30 seconds, but I mean, I was like, God, that's just great content. And so I'm not participating, but I would, no. I would like you guys to just do a little riff on being resilient. Like that could be really, yeah.
On the dome?
On the dome. Pull up that mic.
We got a beat.
You got to get a beat going. I don't know how this works. Let's get a beat going.
You might be good at bringing it. Listen, the rap that I rap, I'll add that.
You saw me, bro.
Well, let's talk. We're thinking why he's pulling up the beat.
She put us on the spot. I like it though.
I'm putting you guys on the
Okay.
spot. So start thinking why he's pulling that beat up.
Okay.
Give me a beat, Sheed. Give me a beat.
Whatever you need.
Sheed.
You feel it. I know you got it.
I don't got it.
Come on.
Instrumental.
Wait, you saying your rap or I'm saying my rap? What you doing? She said on resilient though.
On resilient.
Cause I got a rap that I do. That I always do. Like that rap you heard. I've done that probably 100,000 times.
Well, then it's not.
It's not a reason.
That's
not
actually
the-
not as exciting now.
It's
that I
not.
know that.
What?
I thought that was just
Mine
off.
was
off the cuff.
Mine was off the top. The first
His is off the top though.
first time.
But mine was rehearsed. I'm sorry.
You got something? For me?
No, don't. Go ahead.
Oh, he's scared.
No, I'm not.
Kenny, you got it.
Go ahead.
I have faith in you.
I do too.
No, not this. Hold on, not this. Whoa. I don't even know what beat this is.
You gotta get an instrumental.
It is.
Okay. Resilient.
Resilient.
Go. Yeah.
Let it drop first.
Huh.
Check it.
Go.
Look.
Yeah.
Check it.
Uh-huh.
Look.
Mm-hmm.
Look.
I got one too.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You first.
Yeah. Sit here with Ryan. Talk
Yep.
about resilient.
Yep.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
We up in the building.
Yeah.
Travis Manion Foundation.
Uh-huh.
This is what we do.
Yes, sir.
Army man, go get it.
Uh-huh.
This is how we do.
Yes, sir.
Go. Go.
Check it. Check it.
Yeah.
Look.
Come on.
Look.
I'm waiting for it.
Flying. We in the building.
Uh-huh.
She said be Brazilian.
Uh-huh.
I said Kenny Reds in the building.
Uh-huh.
I'm just trying to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to run up a billion.
There you go. You heard
I was trying to run up a billion.
You heard it.
I was trying to run up a billion, not be a billion. Dang, I had that.
That was good. That was good. That was good.
I was trying to run
put
up
you
a
guys on the
billion.
spot.
I was trying to run up a billion. That would have been crazy. I said I'm trying to be a billionaire.
I set it up for you.
I know. I was trying to catch it.
Well, next time I have you guys on, we'll talk about how we're going to become billionaires. Or
I
something.
like that.
So,
I like that.
Love it.
Kenny, Rasheed, thank you so much. This
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Thank
You
you.
guys are awesome.
Thanks, man.
Keep inspiring.
Yeah.
Keep working my kids' butts off.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks for joining us on the
Thank you.
Resilient
We
Life.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.